So we're going to start by talking about the menstrual cycle and the life cycle, because we do so much hormone work. So there are a number of students who are doing our hormone training and our wellness diplomas and our menopause diplomas. So it can be a useful, like the cycle can be a really useful guide in life, and it can also be a guide in the month, and it can help a woman be able to navigate the stuff that's coming up. It's a way of being able to understand an emotional process.
Yeah, for sure. And actually getting women to recognize that there are different phases of the month. And actually, in some of those phases, they just don't want to be around people. So one of the things that they're beating themselves up for is they're being really snappy with their children. And then you explain this cycle and they go, oh, okay, I actually just don't want to be around children, around people. So then they can actually change their communication with their children, which is, this is mummy's time where she actually really struggles with people. So I'm going to need some quiet space. And, and then you're actually teaching children boundaries. You're teaching children to respect their bodies, teaching, them about all sorts of different things. But it's taking it away from, there's something wrong with me, I'm snapping at my children, to, oh, there's this process that I can then lean into and learn how to navigate my life around it.
And we took this emotional process of the month and our lives from the work of Alexandra Pope. So if you want to deep dive into this, it is super, super interesting. But the idea behind this model is that after we've had our period, we are on the energy rising, we're in the inner spring. And this is a time of energy and creativity, and we're out in the world and we're doing things and we're super energized. And that peaks at ovulation when we're supercharged. I think one of the challenges that women have is that life is very much designed as a linear, you're the same every day, and we're just not. Our hormones are not the same every day. So it can be useful to do this, is what Claire and I used to do in our business, is to do things at ovulation, when we had a big project or a big presentation, to do stuff at ovulation and book it in then, because we knew that we would be, because of course we hung out so much, our periods sort of cycled together. And so we knew that in ovulation, that being supercharged was a great opportunity to be out in the world. Now, as we come over the other side and we come into the dew on, progesterone is rising, estrogen has risen, estrogen is continuing to rise. That inner autumn is the descent. This is a space in the month that many women complain about because they are snappy and have a low tolerance and are particularly angry. And they also get very frustrated with themselves for feeling this way, which just makes the situation worse. So having that understanding that the descent, as we are seeing all the hormones rise, and particularly if we're going through perimenopause and hormones are going bonkers, that actually this is a time for getting really emotional. But we want to find a way of being able to process the emotions that are coming in. So if we are getting, you can feel our teeth gritting, and that person's annoying me, and that person's annoying me. How do we find a way to be with this rage? Because when we look at this with all the hormones going on and all the emotions, and maybe the perimenopause and maybe the menopause, it's all the stuff that maybe we've said yes to in the past that is coming up, and maybe we don't want to say yes anymore. But what we do is we get cross with ourselves, we try and bury it. Our work is, how do we process this time? So then we can come down into a deep rest in menstruation. And this is another thing that highlighting this from an emotional perspective of giving women permission to rest at a time when they're bleeding, because there's been studies that have shown that women who rest during menstruation have that supercharged in ovulation. The two are related. So if we're just going to keep on working and pushing through and stress through a time when we're meant to be resting, then ovulation is going to be a bit of a car crash. Now, if we take this is maybe a monthly cycle that we can explain to our clients, and how do we build in the rest? How do we build in the emotional processing? How can we take advantage of the energy rising? But we can also see this in a life cycle. So the energy rising in inner spring is our teenagers and the girls that we were in our 20s. Ovulation tends to be a place of when we're in more of the mother space. It's growth and it's nurturing. There's loads of, you know, estrogen, and but it's menopause, perimenopause, and menopause is in this inner autumn. It's before we come into the postmenopausal, which is meant to be restful, where all the experiences we've been through in our lives come to a bit of a head at this time. So women talk about in perimenopause that everything feels super emotional and it's all really sensitive and we're really angry and it all seems very unnecessary. However, it is almost like the body is having this cleansing experience. It's getting ready for the drop of postmenopause when hormones sort of really flatline. And so it's an opportunity for women to explore anything that has happened in their lives and to use this hormone storm to process. So if there was something that we went through in our 20s that was incredibly painful, that something we put up with that we wouldn't put up with in our perimenopause, it's an opportunity to go and look at that and clear that out so that we can come into more of a restful place. So this can also really help when you're talking, if you're working in the menopause space, is to have this communication with your clients about, this is a gift. What you're feeling at the moment, all this rage, all this anger, all these tears, all these hormones, all this emotion, this is a gift. This is calling you into the big cleanse. So how do we do it?